Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is bodybuilder and just an all-around amazing and talented and lovely human being, Miss Kristy Cox. Kristy, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I cannot complain. First and foremost, folks, let me tell you something, man. I get on the old social media front this morning. I check the old Instagram front, MLarkinMB, and what do I see? I see this lovely human being right here tagging me in her Tough Enough 1 audition where she's being judged by none other than Big John. I'm talking about Al Snow. I'm talking about the Human Suplex Machine brother, Taz. That was a great little clip I got to see this morning. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, Tough Enough.
I know. And Al even commented. I was like, wow, you made my day.
Those who haven't seen it, check out Christy on Instagram. She tags me in this, and Al Snow first of all, that's got to make you feel awesome because the one and only Al Snow remembers this whole entire
Heck
situation.
yeah. It's kind of hard to forget because I was like, I had basically in my hotel room the night before kind of came up with a little script that I was going to do for my audition. And I thought that I had memorized it, but just to make sure, I wrote the dialogue on my wrist, like on my hand and my wrist. And I got so nervous and so starstruck that I was literally looking at my wrist to remember what I was supposed to be saying. And he just totally called me out, and it was hilarious.
So you channeled your inner rock with John Cena. It's all in the wrist when they were doing that feud for Once in a Lifetime back in 2012. I see it. Even the great.
And that's how I got through college and high school, is like writing the answers on my hand.
Well, you got to do what works for you. First and foremost, kids out there, don't cheat. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're not cheating, you're not trying. God rest his soul, the late great Eddie Guerrero. But my goodness gracious, man, I think what's awesome about that is as well because you look at the time span where that was 2001, right? I mean, MTV is all the rage with the Real World, the Road Rules, and all reality television. And here comes Tough Enough. So I'm going to ask you right out the gate. Tough Enough comes up, boom. Here's your chance to become a WWE superstar and learn from the best. How did that whole thing happen for you? Did you see the commercial and boom, I want to do this, or how did the whole
Yeah.
tough come to fruition?
So I was a huge wrestling fan anyway. Like, I was all about going to see them live. I watched SmackDown and Raw like religiously. I would like when they came to Charlotte or whatever, and they had like the radio station would give away tickets. I was like calling constantly, and I won like second row seats one time. That was like the best day ever. And um, but yeah, I'm sure I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure I saw like the commercial on MTV, and it was like, send in a VHS videotape of, why you want to be the next WWE superstar. And supposedly there was like 4,000 applicants or something, and then they picked 200 people to fly to New York City to try out. And I wasn't super young. I was like 26 or 27, but looking back on it, I was so naive and so young, and just it was like the one of the most exciting things I ever did, but I wasn't prepared at all, to do that, but it
I,
is what it is.
I like the fact that you also try it out. And here's what I love about it, too, because Tough Enough has always been kind of like the 50-50. Because if you are a professional wrestling fan, it gives you the chance not only to train, but get to see what it's like to live the life of a WWE superstar. Then there's the other side of the coin where it's like, okay, I'm a professional wrestler. I paid my dues. I went to wrestling school. I've done this. I've done the indies. And here are these people coming in and earning
Yeah.
a contract from a reality show. Mind
Yeah.
you, what's cool about it, too, is it gave us The Miz. You know what I'm saying? It gave us
Brett, yeah.
Miz.
Superstar, big superstar.
It
Um,
gives people. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, when I started watching the episodes when it finally came out or whatever, there were like two girls. I don't remember who they were or whatever, but they quit like in the first week, and I was just like, really? Like, I never would have quit. I would have been there the whole damn time till they kicked me off or whatever. But
Right, and I mean, I think that's what happens because again, you're going into that tremendous and overall treacherous, if you will, style and schedule, and it's just like, geez Louise, some can handle it, some don't. But I
yeah.
think the season that you tried out for, I mean, it gave us three amazing people, and
Oh yeah.
Kristen, Wiig, who's doing his thing now at the CTE and all that good stuff. We Maven and Nydia, like you
Yep.
had the season right there.
Yep. If only I would have made it.
Hey, I mean, I look at it from a stance too. At least you got in there and boom. I mean, it also gave us John Hennigan and God rest his soul, Mac Apatelli. It was something. It was revolutionary for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. I
Now
guess
with
if I had done that, I wouldn't be like where I am now. So
well,
totally.
right. That's a plus, and I look at it from a stance too. That's 21 years ago, and here you are now doing your thing. And one other thing I will say this about, North Carolina, come on and raise up to channel my inner Petey Pablo, man. You're doing your thing because it is wrestling as well. You're in Flair country, so I
Yeah,
mean, talk about the Carolinas. It's a fit, it goes hand in glove with wrestling.
definitely. And it's funny you say Petey Pablo. I was driving, my little boy was in my front seat the other day and that song came on and he switched the radio station. I was like, you were switching that back. That's a classic.
Absolutely is. Well, you and I grew up in the generations of the Petey Pablos and the overall Freako League. We'll take it back to 2004 with that track. Who doesn't love them some Petey Pablo, right?
Right.
Now we got to talk about Flair Country here because before we came on air, you mentioned something to me that was very, very cool and very special. Training and work. You actually went to the gym Ric Flair that also trained
Oh
at.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Talk about that, man. The Nature
Well,
Boy style and profound. Go ahead.
so this is even kind of crazier too. This is a whole nother wrestling story. But when the guy that I was dating in college, um, his roommate was Matt Hardy, and this is before Matt Hardy was like famous or anything. This was like 1992-ish, I think, or something like that. Um, but we would all hop in this other roommate's car and all go to the gym and work out. And um Matt like eventually I guess decided, he was going for wrestling, not staying in college or whatever. But I was like, I used to go work out with Matt Hardy. He probably doesn't remember me, but
Yes, before he was deleting people and being version 1 and teaming with his brother. Before the cool goth look and when they were Michael Hayes, when he had those little like tie-dye stuff that him and his brother did in like 98. You got the high voltage Matt Hardy. You got young Matt Hardy before all that, right?
yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, I think what's great about it too is, and this is where we'll tie into your journey, because everything in life, if you look at it as an art form, right? We're all applying our crafts. So for you, my friend, the fitness side of things, I'm going to say right now, you look fabulous. You absolutely look 1,000 times fabulous. But yo, how did you get into the world of bodybuilding, the fitness side of things? Because every time I see you on the social media front, you're always there working out, you're putting in the work. So how did that come into fruition for you?
So it was kind of the same sort of story. That same guy that I was dating when we started going to the gym, he basically taught me, like brought me to the gym, taught me how to lift. Um, and it was just one of those things where it was kind of meant to be. Like even after he and I like stopped dating or whatever, I was just, the gym is where I'm at. Like I never have stopped working out. I've just kept on like pursuing whatever, opportunities kind of came up. And I think at first I was just into lifting, and I didn't really have any goals or anything. I just enjoyed it. And then eventually at some point somebody said, you should compete. And I was like, I don't even know like what you're talking about, like what do you mean compete? And they're, like in bodybuilding or whatever. So I went to a show, and back then it was just bodybuilding for men, and then there was fitness and bodybuilding for women, and then figure had came out about that time too. So for my first show, I did fitness because I didn't have like any kind of really gymnastics background, but I thought I had enough to where I could do, some flexibility and some jumps and stuff like that. And it just seemed like it'd be fun. So that was the first thing I did. And it was a local small competition, and I won like the whole overall or whatever. And that was kind of where, no looking back after that. And I was kind of hooked on it. And just I competed from 2002 till 2007. And then about that time is when I met my husband and we started having kids and all that stuff, and took a little break then. And then 2017, I got back into competing again. And now I'm just basically at the top of where I could ever be because I'm qualified for the Olympia. And this is going to be like the greatest, most exciting year ever as far as bodybuilding goes for me.
Well, first and foremost, it's a blessing, and God bless with the kids and everything and family. That I think that's absolutely wonderful, and also as well, man, Mr. Olympia, you posted that on Instagram as well. You've got to be ecstatic, got to be excited. It is the be all end all for bodybuilding, and it's wonderful to see you compete and be a part of that. You must be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when the way that I got qualified for it is a little bit unorthodox because I did the Ben Weeder Naturals Pro, and that last year when I competed in that, that was only the second year that it had been held. It was held 2 years prior to that in Canada, and then they didn't have it in 2020 with COVID or whatever. But when I saw that the winner can qualify for the Olympia, I was like, well, shit, that's like my ticket, because, like drug tested, I figured, be less likely that people would be there that would be like huge, for me to compete against. But it turns out that I was the only women's physique competitor that showed up. So I showed up, I got qualified. But I kind of knew for a couple of months going into the show that I was going to be the only person, because they kept saying, post your training, post, how you're getting ready for the show, blah, blah, blah. And there were no other women's physique pros posting anything. And I just kept thinking like, wow, I am probably going to be the only damn person there. And that lit a fire even worse under me, because I was like, I don't want to be the only person there and then just kind of show up and be like, oh, well, she just won, or she just got qualified because she was there. I wanted to look the part and be the part and, show up looking like I deserved to get the ticket to the Olympia. So it was a great year. I worked my ass off, and now I'm having another great year of working my ass off even more.
Well, and I think what's great is that also shows your dedication and your passion. And I think what I always love about it too is whether it's Mr. Olympia or whatever bodybuilding competition or fitness competition, what I always love about it too is it's the styles and grace, and besides discipline, just the elegance of the pose and what goes into it. It shows a lot of class, and I'm going to say right now, it's very empowering, and it's great to see from women like yourself.
Yes, thank you. And that's actually because when I first got back in 2017, I was doing figure, and I hadn't tried women's physique yet. And the thing that appealed to me about women's physique was the posing, because in figure, you're basically doing your quarter turns,
Yeah.
and there's not a posing routine and all that kind of stuff. And I've never had like a super big background of like dance or anything like that, but I feel like I have enough to where it's like interesting, and I love being on stage. So I really want to give it a try. And I had a couple friends that were competing in women's physique. So it was like, that was kind of like meant to be for me too, because I started placing better, even though I was like one of the smaller people. I was placing better in women's physique just because of how lean I can get and my symmetry and stuff like that. So yes. I just love it when things fall into place, and things really seem to be going that way for me a lot lately.
I think what's also great about you two as well, and I think the right thing to have, it's that positive mindset and that positive attitude. And I always look at this from a statement of succession and progression, no regression. Continue to progress and to succeed in what you do in your life and your goal.
Yeah.
Don't regress to where you were. So it's onward and upward.
Yeah. And it's all about too, like finding the right people to help me. Like my husband helps me a ton. He's got a ton of knowledge in just literally everything almost in life, but um he's really kind of opened my eyes and pushed me in the correct direction. And then like having my coaches that I've had, just all the people that are kind of like always in my ear, telling me what I need to be working on, what I need to be doing, and helping me. I'm really blessed to have a lot of people that are guiding me in the right direction too.
And I think what's great about that too is as well, I mean, to equate it to what we were talking about with your tough enough thing and with wrestling, you have to find the right school and the right people, like you mentioned, to be in your ear and motivate you. That's the same thing with bodybuilding, whether it be family, what have you. You need that motivation. Sometimes we even need that proverbial kick in our ass, if you will, to get us up and going. And that motivation is key in anything, in any walk of life.
Definitely. And speaking of wrestling again, my little boy, my husband started doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu recently. And at first I was just sitting there watching, and I started, especially with Jiu-Jitsu, just really getting interested in the whole just attack, I guess you want to call it. Like, how do you get into these positions, and how like you work your body into doing these holds and all these different things. And so I started doing it too, and I've had like 6 classes now, and I'm like almost obsessed with it. In a good way, just because it's a very big mental challenge for me, just trying to remember. Like in class he'll say, we're going to do this today or whatever, and he'll go through the things, and it's like 5 or 6 steps to get to what you're trying to do, and my brain is just like, wow. It's so different from like lifting weights. Like you can do a bicep curl and you barely have to think, but getting somebody pinned in a certain position is like very complicated.
I mean, it's a process, and I mean, I can say this from experience from a lot of friends that I've seen do jujitsu as well. It's mind. It's what I say. It's a lot of mind control. It's a lot of mechanics and science behind it, and from finding the right strike, the right kick, the right hold to get you into that position. It's like you said. It's 5, 6 steps, and you're just like, whoa! But at the same time, it's a learning experience. So I got to say, I'm waiting for you to start striking and bashing and putting holes in people's asses. Over here, you kill.
Well, like I really feel like I will one day. I'm not. I'm just like it's gonna be my next kind of competition. You know, like I'm not. I'm definitely. I can see myself doing some sort of jujitsu competition at some point.
I was about to say, man, you get from the bodybuilding world and then you're ready to just kill everybody and shut off
Yeah.
pressure points. I like your style. It's a nice little mix. But no, and I think that also goes to the discipline factor as well. And I mean, with bodybuilding, I mean, I go back to the days, and I think you can agree with me on this. You go into a 7-Eleven convenience store, we talk about imagery and all things, right? Like I remember seeing the Flex magazines. This is before Triple H was on run, and you got to see a lot of bodybuilders in that front, the muscle and fitnesses, and you see that imagery, and this is what you want to really do with your body and make your body really disciplined and really in condition. So it's one of those things where you see that imagery. It's a motivation key. I mean, we talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger and what he did before acting. It's just amazing just to see how the evolution of bodybuilding has grown.
Yeah, it is amazing, and it's like if you look at bodybuilders from the 80s or something, they almost look like figure competitors now. Everybody's gotten bigger. Everybody's gotten, just more cartoony looking and all that stuff. And it's I try my hardest to keep up. But it's like, it's yeah, like you just keep on working. Like that's the only thing you can do because everybody else is working. So you have no choice.
Well, hey, I'll mention this because it was a brief moment in the time span of Vince McMahon's one of his great ideas. When you had the World Bodybuilding Federation, which gave us the narcissist himself, Mr. Lex Luger. So if you had that, and I mean, look at it from a stance too as well. When you look at the 90s, like you talk about evolution, when it comes in wrestling or whatever, you saw these big jacked up dudes doing their thing. And now, mind you, I think you can agree with me, people come in all different shapes and
Oh yeah.
sizes.
Yeah.
Body. And that's wonderful to see. And I'm going to say from the women's side of things, and I include you in these sentiments, isn't it great to see that female empowerment and that figure that we see females at the forefront, whether it be bodybuilding and all sports? It's got to make you feel good because you are one of those predecessors and continue to succeed and strive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I mean, it's just like I literally cannot see myself doing anything else. And I joke with my kids sometimes because I mean, I have a lot on my plate, like with them and work and bodybuilding too. But I'll say to my kids, do you want me to be a regular plain old mother? Or do you want me to be like this bodybuilding mother? And they always say they don't want me to be like regular. So I'm never gonna be.
Hey, as someone who was raised by a strong and amazing mother, and that's where I get a lot of my discipline and my respect for a lot of women like yourself. I think what's great about moms is not only do they bring us into those world, but they're our superheroes and what we can look up to. So I think yourself and I include you, we're all providing for our kids and providing for our families. So I got to say, that's a blessing in its own self, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a challenge and a blessing, but I can't imagine life any other way for sure.
1000%. And I got to put this in the forefront as well, man, because you also put this on the Instagram front. You're on the poster for the Pro Am poster. You front and center.
Yeah.
Boom.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Well, and ironically, one of my great friends, Princess, is on there too. She got her pro card at that show in women's physique. And then another one of our friends named Flo did the same thing. She had actually earned her pro card a few years ago in the NPC and turned IFBB pro. And then she started competing in the OCB, and they basically took her card away because like the two organizations don't like people competing in one or the other. They want you to stick with one. But anyway, so we're all three of us are on that poster, and we're like, we need to get that printed out and like hang it up for sure. But yeah, I love it. That's definitely like makes you realize like you really accomplished something when you're seeing something like that for sure.
And again, going back to the imagery side of things, because this goes with that poster, it has that gravitational pull with people. We all have that gravitational pull, so to speak. Whatever we are, and it could be the littlest interaction, right? The little nuances, so to speak, when it comes to life. You never know what influence you're going to have or if you're going to touch people's hearts or how you're going to influence people with your words or your actions and imagery, to a sense. So it's got to make you feel good as well because again, you're posing, you're doing what you're doing. You're making a video, which I did see by the way, where you're posing. Then you took a nasty little spill. Goodness gracious, we're gonna talk about that here.
Yeah.
Woo! Great posing. It was great, and then I got to say, just boom. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Sack of potatoes. My goodness.
So last year, one of my really good friends, she was a sponsor for this show that's local called the OCB Jack King's Classic, and she asked me to be the guest poser. So I was like, at first I said, I don't know if I can do that. And then I thought, I always have my first reaction to almost everything is like, and then I think about it for like 15 or 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, I got this. But anyway, so I did this like 3-minute routine and I was practicing it because this goes back to that tough enough thing where I like screwed up my audition. From then on, practice is what I do. Like I am never going to fail in front of an audience again. So I was, practicing. And this one trick that I was doing, basically like holding myself up on a bench, I got my leg a little bit too high and I just went all the way over. But that was the only time that happened. So but yeah, it didn't feel very good, but it's like one of those lessons learned, I guess. Like can't be too aggressive.
Hey man, I'm just gonna say right now, if you would have got through that tough enough, man, I would have been. Yeah, I would have been. I got to say, that's a perfect sell job, is what that is.
True.
Wrestling, you're telling a story with your bodies, man. I got to say, sometimes when it's a flat back bump or like that, man, that's a sell job and a half, man. I mean, you talk about Shawn Michaels and his sell job, making his opponent look like, oh my God, he's in such peril. I can only imagine what that would have been like if you would have got to that point, right?
Yeah, true.
But no, I think
They never, because they I know like a few years ago, I don't know if they're still doing Tough Enough now, but they're still having it like a few years ago. I actually sent in another video like maybe 2015 or something, but didn't get picked that time.
oh man, now if you would have been on the season with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Trish Stratus, and Booker T all judging, and that, oh my, thinking back to 2015.
That would have made me really starstruck. I was struggling with Taz now Snow.
Well, I think from a stance too as well, and I think you can agree with me on this. When it comes to gentlemen like Al Snow, now people talk about Head and they talk about like a comedy side of things with him and Mick Foley as Mankind, but that's such a wealth of knowledge. Like it's not even funny from ECW to the WWF. Same with Taz, brother, which again he was about a year into the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Like you have that wealth of knowledge, and I think you did absorb it. Now I'm going to say right now, you had it. The promo was not bad, and here's why I say that, because when you talk about when these guys look at me while I'm working out, that's not bad because you could have taken it further than that. But you had a nice little step to it. I'm going to say right now, I thought it was good with your words there.
I was just like, so I don't know. Like I have ADD, and I think just being in the ring, my brain was just like going 8,000 different ways, and everything I wanted to say just went out the window.
Well, first and foremost, I will raise my hand to that because I can attest to someone who also suffers from ADD. I get it. Your mind's all over the place. But I think what's also very amazing about that too as well, and this also transitions and goes into bodybuilding and coincides, right? Like you look at a woman like Trish Stratus, for example, right, who still looks amazing.
Yeah.
She came from the fitness modeling world into professional wrestling. So how amazing is that to see from not just MMA and pro wrestling, but women who've done fitness modeling and bodybuilding, then boom, right into wrestling. China, God rest her soul.
Yep.
Like, right?
Definitely.
A
lot of strong, cool women out there.
Exactly. And I think that's what's amazing to see how everything kind of transitions and coincides with each and every different sport. I'm going to talk about modeling here because I did mention people of all different shapes and sizes. We have plus size modeling. We have the modeling days of like your Tyra Bankses and your Naomi Mills. Like how awesome is that to see from the modeling side of things, especially fitness modeling?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's beauty in everyone, and that's, the amazing thing about just being able to pose and show yourself in the best light that you can be. I like personally, I don't think I'm like the greatest model there is. And I've probably like that's probably the one thing that I need like the most guidance with as far as like getting photos done and stuff. But I love doing that too. Like I love that challenge of at least trying to to get a good photo shoot done.
Well, I will say this from the imagery side of things, you do hit it very well. You do. You have a lot of beautiful photos on Instagram. Much love to you. Very
Thank
well.
you. Appreciate it.
No, you're very welcome. I mean, for me, it's a stance too as well with women. I think each and every woman exude and accentuate that internal and external beauty that shines through. And you have to look at it like that. And one of the things that I always thought was a deterrent and a detriment, so to speak, when it comes to women getting into bodybuilding. Now we talk about men and how that has, influxed a lot of different sexes getting into bodybuilding. But the one thing I always hated and it just the word is just such ignorance. When guys would make fun of women for bodybuilding and they would use the term mannish, and I use that in quote
Yes.
quote. Like it's ridiculous because
Yeah.
if a woman wants to get into bodybuilding or some type of sport, don't shame them for that. Come on now.
Yeah. I just like if nobody's really ever said anything negative to me
Right.
personally, but um I just for people like that, I just ignore them. I mean, it's like you're who cares what you think, really? Like, and that's the other thing too. Like a lot of people, like I do this for me. I want to be muscular. I want to lift weights. I'm not doing it for anybody else. And that's, what a lot of people, like people that talk bad about women lifting weights or whatever, have to realize that they don't care what you think. They really, really don't. They're doing it for themselves.
Which you have to look at it like that too, because again, and now I think with evolution and in time, us as men, and I'm not speaking for myself, but men and other men, but in general, we would have that not ignorant mindset and we would like evolve as humans. But unfortunately, there's some ignorant and ridiculous people out there. And of course, in today's day and age, everybody's got an opinion with
Yeah.
social media. But at us at the same time, I think if you can block out that negativity, and you awesomely do in your front, I think it goes and just the sky's the limit for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I'm going to say this right now, going back to Petey Pablo for a second, because we were talking about music at the time with your raise up and your kid don't turn that radio. Now MTV at the time as well. Now how amazing is that to see? Because 22 years later, and I'll always say this because you and I grew up on that MTV. We
Uh-huh.
talk about the days of TRL and Say What Karaoke and friggin' Singled Out and all these amazing shows.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God. Do we even call it music television anymore? Because all that's on there is reality television.
No, probably not. And I honestly, like, I haven't even hardly watched MTV like lately at all. And I probably should just because I used to. You know what I used to watch was Pauly Shore. I was obsessed with him. Do you remember him? Totally Pauly.
Totally, yes. Oh man, you're bringing back the memories. That made me smile even more. But no, that's what I grew up with. Was like TRL was all the rage because of just different genres of music, and Carson Daly and Say What Karaoke was funny with Dave Holmes. And I mean, before Tyrese was really acting, remember his show MTV Jams that was on MTV?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what's up. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you had that influx, and there was like a little reality which was like Undressed, but it's like it's not like Jersey Shore and what we have now on MTV because it's all
Mhm.
TV.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I was probably I don't know when Thriller came out, but probably like first, second grade. I mean, it was in the 80s, the early 80s when MTV was really MTV, and my friends and I would sit there and just wait. We thought, okay, well, Thriller came on at 2 o'clock yesterday, so probably it's going to come on at 2 o'clock today. And we just like sit there and wait for Thriller to come on because we thought that was like the best video ever.
I mean, first of all, you have good taste. That's really, really good taste. Number one, and number two, yes, that's the prime of MTV. And who didn't want to wait for Thriller to come on? It's one of the most iconic videos of all time.
Definitely.
Now, as well, too. Now with MTV, what's interesting from the wrestling side of things, like we had Sunday Night Heat. Were you a Sunday Night Heat watcher back in the day with MTV?
Um, little bit.
A little bit. Okay. So that was one. It's very interesting just to see how, like in the '80s, like we had the Rock and Wrestling Connection with Piper and Hogan, like doing what they did at MTV. It was amazing to see. And then Sunday Night Heat came into fruition, of course, Tough Enough as well. But I think the only other one I remember, and this was outside like WWE auspices. Do you remember Wrestling Society X from like 2006, 2007? Does that ring a bell?
No, that's
Okay.
that's probably where I kind of stopped watching
Yeah.
because that's when I was getting like more into the bodybuilding thing.
Uh,
Not
I
that I couldn't do both, but
You could do anything you set your mind to, my friend.
yeah. Probably just less TV at that point.
First of all, number one, that's not a bad thing because too
Yeah.
much TV is bad for anyone. Number one, but
Yeah.
number two, yeah, no, it was a brief thing that had some WWE people on it, but it was like like a lot of explosions and stunts and stuff. It lasted for like a couple episodes. It was
Oh,
very,
okay.
yeah. But no, that's the thing, man. From what we get with our television, what we get from our discipline and that knowledge and that everything that we intake, it's amazing to see and how we apply our crafts. And I can't wait to see, like I said, what the future holds for you because you are absolutely shining, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Yeah, like we found out recently that the Masters Olympia is coming back, and I guess I don't know if they've ever had. I think maybe they just had men's bodybuilding when they've had it before, and supposedly in 2023 they're going to have the Masters Olympia with maybe all the divisions. I hope, but just depending on how I do this year in the Olympia, like getting qualified for the Olympia is like a stunt in itself for most people, qualifying, going to non-drug tested shows. But depending on how this year goes, that's probably going to be my goal next year is to aim for the Masters Olympia since I'm 47. Kind of like fits the bill better a little bit versus the classic Olympia, but we'll see. It's in Romania, or it's supposed to be in Romania.
First of all, you can make yourself internationally known and you can rock the bodybuilding podium. My goodness gracious. I love that. First of all, Romania, you get to travel and do that. That's awesome. But number two, first of all, let's talk about this with the 47 thing. Stop it. Because age ain't nothing but a number and you're still doing your thing and looking as only you look for 47.
Yeah. I don't feel 47, that's for sure, but my kids are keeping me young.
Of course, and I was about to say you're only as old as you feel, and I look at it from a stance too. There are so many amazing people that look again as they age and progress. It's wonderful, and I think again putting that discipline in what you have in your body, I think is awesome. And let's talk about this diet stuff as well, man, because I got to say, seeing a lot of your posts, you're making me hungry with a lot of the stuff that you post from your food and stuff. This is what it goes with all bodybuilders, just what you all do from your how you overall take your intake, so to speak.
Yeah.
What's the diet looking like on your end, man? Because you again, whatever it is, it's just it look good.
So now I'm getting to eat a lot. I'm eating average probably like 2,600 calories a day, which is pretty good for a woman, but it's because I'm trying to get a little bigger this year. But I eat almost every day pretty much like the same thing. Like I start my day with egg whites and cream of rice, and then I go with oatmeal, protein powder, peanut butter. Then I'm like some more rice, chicken. It's the same things almost every single day, but like I look at it as like fueling my car or something. I'm not, I crave things and I do get, to eat what I want. I can fit in pizza sometimes, whatever. But I look at it as fuel for my body, and if I want to accomplish my goals, then I have to eat, a certain number of carbs, a certain amount of protein, and a certain amount of fat. And my fitness pal is my best friend. My food scale is my best friend. It's easy, I guess, sort of now because I've been doing it for so long. And I like trying to teach people about, nutrition and how to eat better and easy ways to manipulate your diet, if you want to accomplish certain goals. But I think that until you get like into a habit of doing it, it's not the easiest thing ever, but it's like anything else. Like once you get used to it, it's not that bad. Just temptation sometimes, but a little temptation isn't going to hurt anybody.
1,000%. You know what I'm saying? And I also look at it from a stance too as well. I was going to be my follow-up, man, because like I said, my grandmother used to say, God rest her soul, manja, if you will. It's the Italian word, manja. But yo, we got to talk about this here. So cheat meal. Is the pizza the cheat meal, or is that the ultimate cheat meal? What's your cheat meal?
Pizza definitely is up there. Either pizza or like a bacon cheeseburger. Those are my two favorites. Then my my third would be, it's not, I don't consider it quite as much of a cheat meal because it's like I love buffalo chicken, like boneless buffalo chicken wings. It's still chicken, so I kind of feel like it's not as cheaty as, having a slice of pizza or, half pizza, whatever. But yeah, those are my top three.
It's right here, folks. It's right here. You're just mentioning pizza, bacon, cheeseburger. First of all, I can respect that number one because if you're gonna have a cheat meal, you gotta do it right, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things too as well, and portion control and doing what you do. And I think what's great to a lot of people can intake from this conversation is just doing what you do to have that discipline, because discipline, and we mentioned that word, it's very an operative word, but just from your mind, body, your soul, internally and externally, and what you put into your body, the ultimate discipline's right there. You just got to have the
Yeah. And I'm kind of I'm an accountant, so I'm a spreadsheet dork. And I track everything in my Fitness Pal, and then I also track in my spreadsheet like my calories, and then like I use my Apple Watch to, see my calories burned. And I try to just come up with like averages, like am I in a deficit or am I in a surplus? And if you look at, say you take a month and you are good 25 out of the 30 days or 31 days or whatever. If you look at averages, those 5 days or 4 days or however many days you kind of like had that little cheat meal, it doesn't make a difference. It really does not. If you do that every day, all the meals, it makes, boo. But if you just have like one little cheat meal, when you look at the big scheme of things, it's probably good for you. Gives your body a break.
First of all, you got this in the bag, my dorky friend here. Let's talk about this right here for a minute. Because I'm an accountant, I got the statistics, boom. You see, that's a plan. If you want to talk about logistics and statistics, that is a plan right there. And I respect that wholeheartedly. That's a great analogy to look at it. But here's the thing, too, as well, man. Like, doing your thing from that side of things, implying what you do for work and your overall, how your line of work, and incorporating to your goals, that's a lot of smart strategy for people to really intake, you know?
Yeah. And it makes you realize, I used to be kind of like the person, like I thought I had to kind of not like really starve myself, but I thought that I really had to be like in a deficit in order to accomplish my goals. And it's like that's the furthest thing from the truth. So literally seeing years and years of data telling me you've been eating this much and you've accomplished all this, it's a visual proof in my head, that I'm going in the right direction. Like your body, as you progress, like especially in bodybuilding, you can just start eating more and more and more and more. Like the more muscular you get, the more calories you need. So 4 or 5 years ago, I was eating 1,000 calories, probably less than what I'm eating now on average. So it's fun. Getting to eat more is fun.
One again, 100%. And also, I'm going to say this right now. First of all, if you're not having fun with what you're doing, then why do it, right? So, I mean, if you can have that mindset to it and eating more being fun, first and foremost, I love you for that sentiment, because a lot of people can relate to what you just said. But also at the same time, it's the intake, and I think that's wonderful. And the key word is fun, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I've seen some people post that they like are almost sick because they have to eat so much. And my friends and I were talking, we were like, I don't get it. Like I feel like I could eat and eat and eat forever and like never be sick of it. But maybe it's, I guess if you never had a cheat meal and you were just constantly eating just rice or whatever. But even rice, you put a little bit of sauce on it or something, that tastes great to me too. So I don't think I'll ever get sick of that. The hard part really is like when you're getting close to a competition, you're cutting things out and you're really actually hungry. But even that, like when you think about how short of a time period it is, it seems like a long time when you're in it. But I think as each show and each like completed diet passes, then you kind of remember like the next time, or you look back and you're like, hey, it wasn't that bad. I can do this. So it's like, I guess, learning with all of that too, like with each show, with each competition, you're just absorbing and remembering how everything felt.
First and foremost, you just put chicken and rice in my head, because I'm picturing the rice on the. Oh my god! But no, and I think that's very imperative with anything that you do. And I think what's great about it too as well. I mean, we take all these life lessons that we learn, and we employ them in our everyday life. And I think this is what we need as people, just to keep going on and forward, because there's a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, with mental health. And for people that go through it, I've struggled through it. A lot of us have. I think it's just the right thing to do is just to know and shed that positivity that a lot of people could get through. And I think that's what we could take from today's conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know. Like it's hard when you struggle with things. And like I guess I always try to look at the positive side of things. Like my dog died last week, and that was like probably one of the most upsetting and traumatic things that has happened to me, like maybe ever. Um, but then like even though I was sad, I still like found myself trying to just focus on how much he loved me and how like much fun we had for all the years that he was alive, and just focus on like I can remember all the good times and that he's in a better place and all that kind of stuff. And that I feel like that really just helped me get through it for sure, instead of focusing on like, oh, he's dead and that's not going to help anything.
Right. And first of all, sorry, because like I said, you're welcome. With any loss of any pet, I can attest to it. I had a couple cats who passed away a few years ago. I mean, it's something that is very tragic because, a pet is something that's very meaningful and it's a part of the family. You've been through the times and tribulations, but also at the same time, you have to, it's like with any death that you mourn, do you continue to just sit around and do you mope, or do you remember the good times and do what they want you to do and live your life? So you have to live even in a time like that, right?
Yeah, definitely. We still have so we used to have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and now what we have left is 1 cat, and he's 21.
God bless. Oh my goodness, 21.
Yep.
Oh,
He's a funny little guy. And I think he might live to at least till he's 30. Like he's amazing.
What's the cat's name?
His name's Bubby.
Bubby. I like that. Okay.
And he's actually so he's a European Burmese cat, and we got him from a lady in Mexico, and his name, like on his little papers, is Tsunami Ivory Cream. And she lived in Mexico, but she was from Germany, and she said that Bub in Bavarian German means little boy, so that's why she called him Bub. So then we just kind of made it turn into Bubby.
I like that. I mean, you have to have cute names like that. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things too where Bubby works. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, whether it be with how you name your kids, and not like Tom Cruise with friggin' Siri and all that stuff. Here's what the funny part about that is, and this is where it goes back to wrestling. There was a guy, but I don't know if you remember Ken Kennedy, Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson. So okay, so we did a promo talking about, people's kids and their names, and he made fun of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes with the Siri, and he's like, you know what, it sounds like something that you would order off the poo-poo platter, which I'm like, that's funny at the end of the day, because it does, with how they name their kids. So it's stuff like that, whether it be a name of a pet or name of a child, what have you, it has that meaning to it, and there's a lot of significance in everything, right?
So my little boy's name is Dorian, and my husband, I chose my daughter's name Reagan, and then my husband chose my little boy's name Dorian, and he was named after Dorian Yates, bodybuilder. And then also, my husband plays guitar, and his favorite guitar mode is Dorian. So that's his name, and my husband believes that too. Like you kind of live up to your name. So he's doing a good job. He's definitely going to live up to his name.
That's wonderful. And I think what's great about it too is the family time. And I mean, we've seen you post a lot of great photos of your family and your husband and your kids. And I think a lot of people can take away just the overall strong bond, because that's what it is. And a bond is beautiful, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun together. We get in little spats and fights and every now and then, but we have a lot of fun too. And we keep each other on our toes and challenging each other and all that stuff. And I joke around with my little boy now that I've like gotten into jujitsu with him. I'm like, I'm gonna choke you later today. Like he makes me mad. I'm like, later on in jujitsu, I'm coming for you.
Man, I gotta say right now, even though the wrestling stuff didn't pan out, if we could get some jiu-jitsu in here, man, I'm waiting for the strikes. I'm waiting for the chokes. I'm ready for a go-go platter, man. I'm just waiting for you to just lock in them holds.
Yeah, I just got to get I feel like now when I'm in class, I have like a little bit of a mental block, but I feel like I'll get past that. I feel like I have to have some sort of methodology to remember, like, my arm's going behind someone's head, then my arm's slipping through here, whatever. Like once I figure that out, I think I'll be good. It's not quite there yet.
I will say this: there's a term that goes around, and it's old timey. It's very cliche, but it fits in this particular situation. We hear the term "jack of all trades," and I'm going to say you're like a Jill of all trades, my friend.
Yeah.
The bodybuilding to jujitsu now. Like I said, you're just putting in the work, and it's great because you needs to have that variety and a lot of uniqueness to you. So it works. It fits.
I definitely well, I can add to all that too. Like I love doing like home improvement stuff. Like I tore out one of our whole bathrooms and basically redid it myself. Like I love doing stuff by myself because number one, I feel like I can do it. And then number two, I don't want to pay anybody else when I think I can do it.
Smart. I like you. I like you. The smartness. I can do it myself. Okay. Also, I'm going to say this right now. Are you like your own, little Tim Allen, little Richard Karn, little home improvement action there? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get
Yeah,
some.
I mean, I love like if I could flip houses for a living, I would love to do that. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I feel like I've got to have like a stable job, but one day maybe.
This is like a resume right in itself, man. Just a laundry list of resume. Oh, by the way, I'm an accountant. Hey, I can do some home improvement. I like that. The resume just keeps growing for you.
Yeah, but you know what goes with the jack of all trades is the master of none.
Wisdom. Wisdom. Okay, all right. Fair play. Touche. But still, I think at the end of the day, too, as well, when it all comes down to it, and this is, again, what I love about you, I can see that through your vibrancy and your overall exuberance, you are going to do a lot of special things, and it's only going to get better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very welcome. And before we close this out, I'm going to put the overture out here to you. You ever want to come back for a round two? I'd be more than happy to have you.
Oh, I'd love to. Anytime. Just let me know.
Now, before we do close this out, we promote the social medias and stuff. You talked about advice with, with nutrition side of things and what you're doing in your field. Do you have any advice for any of the ladies that want to get into bodybuilding and do as only as you can do, Miss Kristy Cox?
Well, if they want to get in it and they like literally have no experience at all, I would say, like never been to the gym kind of thing, or maybe just starting out in the gym, I would say find a good coach. That's probably the part that delayed my progress in a sense, the most, because not that I was wasting my time necessarily, but if you've got somebody that can really help you with your form, help you with your workouts, help you with your diet, that's going to get you there in a better way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. And I think it's very short and simple and to the point. I think a lot of people could adhere to your words and just, folks, keep on keeping on and just keep striving and, just really succeeding in life. I think that's a great message and it was beautifully said. So I'm short and simplistic and to the point. And before we close this out, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, where people can follow you on all forms of social media. The floor is yours.
So my Instagram is Kristy Mom Wife Gym Girl. And then my Facebook is just Kristy Cox. And I think I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. I don't even know what it is. That's about it. I do Instagram and Facebook. But it's funny because, like when you start Instagram, it basically just has your email address. And I was like, well, that sucks. Like my email address is dumb. It's like my last name from forever ago, not my original last name. But so then I was just like, okay, Kristy, and then I was like, mom, wife, gym girl. I just kind of like did that. And then when I got my pro card, a lot of pros have IFBB Pro at the end of their name. And then I have literally never found like what I want to put. Like I don't want to put just Kristy Cox IFBB Pro. So if anybody has any suggestions, I'll take those.
And I don't mean to laugh, but it's also very true with the emails with Instagram. I'm glad that you brought that up. But also at the same time, that is a Kristy Mom, wife, gym girl. It encompasses you all in all. Again, we talk about symbolism and significance. If it fits in a username, why not? And that's an important role that you have, right? Hey.
Yeah. So maybe I'll just keep that one. But anyway, I would like to incorporate the IFBB Pro, but we'll see.
Well, if you do, what have you, folks, either way, follow her on Instagram because you are a great follow. I will say that. You are a great follow.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And check her out on Facebook. And even though we don't know the Twitter, I'm going to say this right now, folks. I can attest with the Twitter. Sometimes a lot of us don't use it. Sometimes we all have our preferences with social media, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I did Twitter a couple times, and I felt like I was getting not like hacked or something, but just something was like annoying me about it. It was it was just too much trouble or something.
Well, I mean, with Twitter nowadays, with everybody just arguing and fighting, and nobody can just agree to disagree anymore.
Yeah,
Blame you. So I mean, hey,
I
I
don't
mean,
need drama.
right? No drama. Right? Exactly. Drama-free zone, if you will.
That's
But I got
right.
the other thing that's out right now is TikTok. You do any TikTok or no?
My daughter does, and I probably will eventually. I don't I see like, she's made some pretty cool videos, and I asked her one day, I was like, "How do you do that? Like, if you're wearing one thing and then you're like, bam, and then you're wearing something else." And she's like, "Mom, it's just like 2 videos and you just put them together." I'm like, "Okay."
It's the mesh, and what for those who haven't seen what she's referring to, it's like you have one video wearing something, then boom, like with a snap, you're into there. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's a nice little editing. It's a nice little trick. So yes,
Yeah. One day when I'm bored, maybe I'll get into that.
I'm bored. I like your style, and I will say this as well before we do close this out, folks. Check out Kristy Cox once more. And just an amazing and beautiful human being doing the thing on the bodybuilding side of things. And as I always say within this show, beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. Miss Kristy Cox, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your.
so much.
And to quote the great Al Snow, what does everybody want? Kristy Cox. Thank you so much for your time.